Good afternoon, students of Chinese YMCA Secondary School. We are now going to play you the news clip from yesterday.
London's Metropolitan Police says they are treating an explosion on a subway train today as a terrorist incident. At least 18 people have been injured, with police saying many victims suffered flash burns.
It's becoming an all too depressing reality of life in major European cities these days. Armed police and paramedics were called to Parsons Green in southwest London today after a device burst into flames on a subway train at the height of the city's morning rush hour. Footage and photos taken from the District Line train show a white plastic bucket inside a shopping bag. Flames can be seen, although the carriage appears to escape extensive damage. Aerial footage showed commuters being led to safety along the elevated track. The city's ambulance service says multiple crews were dispatched to the above-ground subway station. The London Underground says services have been cut along the District Line as a precaution. Police say counter-terrorism officers are carrying out investigations and have asked members of the public to avoid the area.
And at this stage, we are treating the matter as a terrorist-related incident, and the Metropolitan Police Counter-Terrorism Command will take responsibility for that investigation.
Metropolitan Police added that a number of people were injured in what they described as a fire on board the train. Several people appeared to have burn injuries, while others were reportedly trampled in the rush to escape. London has been struck repeatedly by extremist attacks this year, and the risk of a new attack is considered high. The London Underground has been targeted several times, notably in July 2005, when suicide bombers blew themselves up on 3 subway trains and a bus, killing 52 people and themselves.
North Korea has conducted its longest ever test flight of a ballistic missile. It sent an intermediate-range weapon hurtling over Japan and into the northern Pacific Ocean in a launch that signals both defiance and another technological leap. James Aitken reports.
The second North Korean missile to fly over Japan in less than a month triggered sirens and warning messages advising people to seek refuge. Officials say the missile landed in the Pacific, about 2,000 kilometers east of Hokkaido. The missile was the same type that was launched by North Korea on August 29th. Experts say the range of the missile test was significant since it demonstrates it could reach the U.S. Pacific territory of Guam. The latest weapons test was met with the usual outrage. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe called the launch a reckless act. South Korea's president ordered his military to conduct a live-fire ballistic missile drill and instructed government officials to pursue stern measures to discourage further provocations. In London, the top diplomats from the U.S. and the U.K. stressed the importance of China's leverage.
I am hopeful that China, as a great country, a world power, will decide on their own and will take it upon themselves to use that very powerful tool of oil supply to persuade North Korea to reconsider its current path towards weapons development.
We resolve to continue to work together and with important partners who can influence North Korea, including China, with the aim of securing the complete and irreversible denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
At the Foreign Ministry in Beijing, the reaction was the familiar reminder that such tests violate United Nations Security Council resolutions. A spokesperson reiterated Beijing's push for a peaceful and diplomatic resolution. The UN Security Council is due to meet later today, just days after it unanimously stepped up sanctions against North Korea over a nuclear test earlier this month. James Aitken, TVB News.
Some local news now, and Hong Kong's recyclers have stopped collecting scrap paper for a week. This comes after paper manufacturing companies on the mainland failed to get approval from the authorities there to import waste paper. Rachel Earn with more.
The city's recycling trade is facing a paper jam. This after the State Council in Beijing announced in July that the country will stop importing 24 types of waste by the end of the year, including waste plastic and unsorted scrap paper. Many local recyclers today began a 7-day boycott of scrap paper over delays in getting the mainland authorities' approval to send the waste paper there. Even so, cardboard boxes and newspapers were still being collected today. That's because some recyclers are still accepting waste paper. Mrs. Ng, who has been in the business for years, said the mainland's ban and the drop in prices of used card boxes, her company is struggling to break even. She's now left with at least 2,000 tons of waste paper. The Recycling Materials and Reprojection Business General Association says warehouses of recycling plants have been full to the brim lately. It hopes that with the 7-day halt in scrap paper collection, it can illustrate to the government the seriousness of the situation when the mainland's new policy on the import of recycled materials comes into force.
But this will not start until the end of the year, right? So why are you stopping the collection of paper now?
Because they already stopped the import license for the paper mill. Because for the paper mill in China, they're supposed to apply the 4th season import license in beginning of August. The government's supposed to give it out in the end of August. In this moment, the paper mills still haven't get the 4th season import license. So they need to stop right away to import the Hong Kong waste paper.
To deal with the fallout, the administration is mobilizing community recycling centers as temporary storage sites for the waste paper. For the same purpose, it has also opened up other sites, including Eco Park and Nam Wan in Tuen Mun.
At the same time, that I understand that there are still quota held by some of the recyclers to transport the waste paper to mainland. At the same time, there are different recyclers looking for other export channels, say to Southeast Asia. So there are different ways to mitigate the situation for the time being.
So how can we cope with the boycott? A green group has urged members of the public to reduce waste at source, especially over the next 7 days. Rachel Lang, TVB News.
Various political parties in Hong Kong are now eyeing the upcoming by-elections in March, which would bring in 4 lawmakers. Elmi Long with details.
6 localist or pan-democratic lawmakers have been expelled from the Legislative Council over their oath-taking. 4 of the vacancies will be filled in by-elections in March. What about the other 2 geographical constituency seats vacated by Leung Kwok Hung and Lau Siu Lai? Both are still appealing their disqualifications in court. If legal proceedings can be completed before the March 11th poll date, would it be possible to bundle the by-elections for all 6 seats? Leung Kwok Hung, who has expressed an interest in running the by-election to return to the legislature, urged authorities to clarify their position. If I win the by-election and the appeal case, then how will that work? Alternatively, if I win my appeal, there won't be a need for me to sit in the by-elections, Leung said. It seems more straightforward for other politicians, though. The Hong Kong Association for Democracy and People's Livelihood, Democratic Party, and the Democratic Alliance for the Betterment and Progress of Hong Kong have all expressed an interest in fielding candidates. Former legislators Gary Fan and Bill Tang are seeking to re-enter through the New Territories East seat. The functional constituency seat might be a contest between Tony Tse and Edward Yu if the ousted legislator decides to run. Elmi Long, TVB News.
And in response, the Registration and Electoral Office said the Electoral Affairs Commission will closely monitor the appeal case's latest developments. It stressed that it'll make appropriate arrangements to ensure elections are held in an open, honest and fair manner. Now, lawmaker Cheng Chung-tai will learn his fate in 2 weeks when the court makes a ruling. The politician is in legal trouble for flipping the SAR and national flags upside down at the Legislative Council last year. Elmi Lung reports.
Cheng Chung-tai arrived at Eastern Magistracy to stand trial. He earlier pleaded not guilty to 2 charges, desecration of the national flag and desecration of the regional flag. This dates back to a Legislative Council meeting last October. While the quorum bell was being rung, the Civic Passion legislator turned the SAR and national flags upside down. Those flags were placed on the desks of some pro-establishment lawmakers as a patriotic gesture. Cheng's actions, his lawyer argued, was to draw lawmakers who were not in the chamber back to their seats to avoid the meeting from being adjourned. Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions Anna Lai stressed behavior that dishonors the flags is defiling them. Cheng Chong-tai was released on bail before the court delivers its verdict in 2 weeks. According to local laws, anyone who desecrates the national flag or regional flag is liable to a $50,000 fine and 3 years in prison. El Milong, TVB News.